irrevocable trust also avoids probate. They're managed by a trustee. For tax purposes, you cannot be that trustee and be a beneficiary because that's still holding the property. But sometimes, and it used to be more prevalent than it is now, you want to transfer property out of your estate to avoid estate and gift taxes. Well, as I said earlier, the current estate and gift tax credit offsets a taxable estate in excess of $11 million. Most people don't have to worry about that, but if you hit the lottery, you got to come and talk to us. Okay, so, but if you have an estate, and some people have more accumulated wealth or inherited wealth or both, and they need tax planning. So it's not uncommon to use an irrevocable trust to do that. Another way of taking care of your family and using irrevocable trusts is what I mentioned earlier, an ILIT, an irrevocable life insurance trust. What you do there is you transfer money out of your hands or out of another trust into another trust document, and that trust pays the premiums on life insurance and is also the beneficiary of that life insurance. And so then it's not in your taxable estate. So that's another way of funding the needs that your family might have in a situation where you have the likelihood of estate and gift tax consequences. Now, those trusts are shielded from creditors and they can't be reached for anything. They provide tax savings because they're taxable at their own brackets, but any income earned inside a irrevocable trust is taxed at the trust tax rates, not your own. Now, they've recently changed the tax rates, and what you have to do if we get into that kind of planning is determine where it's best to have the income come in and what are the tax consequences. So it's kind of a Gordian knot of things to think about and to adjust your estate planning to make the least expensive, most prudent way of doing things. Okay, so irrevocable trusts are mostly used for tax planning, as I've kind of alluded to here, but they're not common, or let's put it this way, they're not as common as they used to be. So, in addition to that, there are testamentary trusts. Now, testamentary trusts are a problem from our perspective. Testamentary trusts are one that are written into a will. Okay, so you write a trust, you want your property handled in a particular fashion, and you put it in a will. As I said earlier, that will means nothing, and that trust means nothing unless it's probated and verified. So there's chances that your wishes, if you use a testamentary trust, will not be carried out because perhaps somebody contests your will, or perhaps a judge finds that it hasn't been executed in a valid fashion, or there are other situations that prevent it from coming into effect. So another thing is that if you think will, you got to think probate. And if a trust is included inside the terms of a will, you will be going to probate. And your estate will be spending lots of money to get that taken care of. So I can't quote you the rates because each thing is an independent type of thing, but take my word for it. It can be very expensive, and typically you don't want to do that. You just avoid that situation. Now, I mentioned earlier also special needs trust. That can be set up separately for somebody who has mental, physical challenges or is starting to develop perhaps Alzheimer's or early onset dementia, things of that nature. So they can set up a trust either by themselves or you can set it up for them in such a fashion that their assets, to the extent that they're in that special needs trust, and the distributions from that trust are totally discretionary with the trustee, that will avoid the Medicaid spend down that everybody's kind of intimidated by. The elder care issues that we're touching upon are really outside the scope of this particular seminar, but they are something that is a concern to people, and we'll try to address those at a later date.